In the first part of this series, we looked at the equipment that we would need to get a DV3000 breakout board running D-Star on a Raspberry Pi. In part 2, we worked our way through a few hurdles so that we could learn enough about Linux to unzip some files and install some files and get things rolling. In this final episode, we'll install one more piece of software, the dummy repeater, and we'll configure it and the IRCDB gateway and make one of our first D-Star contacts. So stick around and watch as we make this all happen. We're back at nwdigitalradio.com to do one more installation. And with all that we've learned so far, this will go quickly. We're going to install the dummy repeater. First, we'll go get some files. Highlight them, copy this. Then I'll right-click to put that line into our Pi and press Enter. Okay, let's go get the next one. Again, I'll highlight it, copy that, right-click, and hit Enter. Okay, that's done. Now, John Hayes, K7VE, has provided us with some wonderful screenshots showing us exactly how we're supposed to configure the dummy repeater. In order to configure our own dummy repeater, we need to go into the graphic user interface, open up a little command window, type dummy repeater, and then find preferences in the edit menu. Let's take a look and see how that's done. Once again, in the terminal mode, enter Start X to get the graphic interface running. When the GUI is up and running, click on this little icon in the lower left corner and select Run. A window will appear. Type in dummy repeater. Look, and it filled it in for us. We'll just click OK. In the Edit menu, select Preferences. You can follow along with the images that you see on John's web page and fill in everything you need to fill in along here. Here's a quick look at the settings that I put in mine. I put my call sign in here, and because my name is only 4 characters, I'm able to put that in there. You're limited to 4 characters in this field. The sound card that I'm using is a C Media headset. I should have the same thing here. For dongle, I put in the DV3000. Remember when I wrote down the IP address for my Raspberry Pi? Well, it goes right here. I didn't make any changes to network, or controller, or timeout. But I did add my own little message at the end. We'll say OK. And we're told that those changes won't take effect until we restart the dummy repeater. Now let's follow these instructions to install the IRCDB gateway. The installation of the gateway will take some time, and you'll be asked a few questions that you will enter along the way. In the end, it will take you to an automatic configuration program. Select number 99 so that you can quit, and instead come back to the graphic interface and we'll open the run window again. We're going to type in IRCD, and we'll see that we have lots of choices here. What we want is the gateway config program. I've found, though, that I won't be able to save my changes if I enter the command as it is here. So I'm going to touch the home key on my keyboard, jump to the beginning of this line, and put in sudo and a space. Then I'll click OK. Now you can walk through the windows, setting them up just as they appear in the Northwest Digital Radio website. Let's take a look at the settings that I have on my gateway. You'll enter the call sign here. If you want, you can enter your latitude and longitude and your QTH. For repeater 1, you want to be sure that you've selected a band. I recommend that you just select the letter A. And for the type, you'll want to say homebrew. All of the addresses here are going to be 127.0.0.1, which is the internal address of the Raspberry Pi. The second repeater tab, you don't need to do anything here. And there are a set of 4 repeaters, so you'll do nothing with those 4. When you get to the IRCDB tab, you'll want to select one of the Open QuadNet choices in this window. Doesn't matter which one, just choose one of those. And then down here, for the username, put your own call sign in lowercase letters. Don't put a password in. I put my call sign in again here for D+, so I could take advantage of that feature. And there are no other settings there that I needed to change. Now that we have everything configured, it's time to try it out. There are 3 steps to starting this whole thing up. They all can be done from this Run window. Let's start our service first. This is the same command we typed in part 2, but instead of putting it in the terminal, we can put it right here in this window. Sudo /usr /sbin /service DV3000 D start. Then we'll click OK. Now that should start the Ambi service that we need there. Now let's start the gateway. Again, we'll go in here and select Run. And I start to type the first few letters, IRCD. The choices will come up, and here's my IRCDB gateway. I'll select that. I'll say OK. There'll be a little error message here about not being able to save a log. That's OK also. And we wait for a window to appear. If the window doesn't appear, it doesn't mean it hasn't worked. There's something peculiar about the IRCDB gateway software that I've noticed is sometimes I can't get the window to come on the screen. Yet when I bring up dummy repeater, it still works. So I'm not sure what's going on there. So if it doesn't appear, go ahead and launch dummy repeater and see if it's going to function. If the window does appear, you might want to go in the View menu and select GUI Updates. You get a chance to see what's going on. There'll be some interesting things that appear in this window, things that are going through the IRCDB network. I'll just move this window over here out of the way, and it's time now to start the dummy repeater. I type in dummy, it fills in the rest of the word, and I say OK. And our dummy repeater window appears. Now, these fields across the top here, you'll need to fill in the first time this comes up. You'll probably see the CQ, CQ, CQ. It's already there in the UR field. Put in your call sign and the same letter that you chose over in the gateway configuration file, probably A for alpha. And then over here, configure yourself as a gateway. So it's your call sign followed by the letter G. And if you're familiar with D-Star, you know that these final letters right here have to be padded out so that they appear in the 8th position of the string that are in these windows. So I have 6 letters in my call sign. I'm using 1 space as the 7th, and then the final letter that you see here is always in the 8th position. An odd thing that I've noticed about the dummy repeater software is that occasionally, if I reboot the computer, or particularly if I remove the power completely from the Raspberry Pi, when I launch the dummy repeater, I find that all my settings are gone, and I have to go back into the edit menu, select preferences, and refill in those boxes that we were looking at earlier. You know right away you need to do that because the section up here where you see your call sign will be empty, and you'll notice that you have to fill it in. We're ready to select a reflector here, hit transmit, and see how it works. Let me share a little QSO I had earlier today. I set things up here in my ham shack in a fairly complicated way so that I have a video camera to record me talking on the air, and I was able to screen capture what was going on. And, well, when you're trying to do a demo, invariably there's a simple little thing that goes wrong. Seems like there always has to be. Take a look at the video, see how I discover what the problem was, and then enjoy the QSO that I had with a ham near Atlanta, Georgia. Bring it back up.
Link to REF030 Charlie.
Okay, we got the dummy repeater running again. Now we'll see if we can find anybody here. Whiskey Bravo 7 Foxtrot Hotel Charlie is listening on Reflector 30 Charlie. We'll try the echo, see if that's going to work this time. DV7 FHC testing. I'm transmitting, but I don't hear any audio. Let's go back to
KK4 VRM.
Let's see if KK4 VRM. KK4 VRM, do you copy Whiskey Bravo 7 Foxtrot Hotel Charlie? No audio, I think. So here's my... maybe we weren't plugged in all the way. Let's try echo one more time. WV7 FHC testing.
WV7 FHC testing.
I think we have it. KK4 VRM. Are you still there, Rick? This is Whiskey Bravo 7 Foxtrot Hotel Charlie. I know his name because I see it here on the screen.
This is Rick, KK4 VRM. Go ahead.
Oh, great, Rick. Thanks for coming back. I tried to call you a minute there ago, and I found out I didn't have any audio here at all. Running a little D-Star demo, and I was hoping I'd get a chance to say hello to somebody and show some folks how this works. The handle here is Bud, Bravo Uniform Delta Delta, and I'm located in Washington State, about 2 miles south of the Canadian border between Seattle and Vancouver. Back to you, Rick.
Well, Bud, thanks for coming back to me. Just outside, 2 miles outside of Atlanta, and I just bought Friday a ID51. You're the first person I've got on here, so I've been agonizing through the programming to me. Back to you.
Oh, okay, Rick. Well, that's great. I hear a few little pops and an occasional R2D2 in there from that, but I'm happy to be your first contact on that new rig. I'm kind of running a new rig here myself. I've been working on a Raspberry Pi, and I've installed one of these Northwest Digital Radio DV3000 breakout boards on it. So I've got the Raspberry Pi running here, and I'm actually making a little video of how a person who is Linux challenged might actually be able to get one of these D-Star rigs up and running, and you are one of my first QSOs with this apparatus. So this is great talking to you. We'll turn it back to you. KK4 VRM WDB7 FHC.
But I'm glad that I was able to be your first contact today. I know what that feels like when you work on something for hours and hours and try to get it to where you can get out there. Thank you, bud.
Well, you hit the nail right on the head, Rick. It's been not just hours on this project, it's actually been days. And it's really fun to see that it's up and running and get it going and actually get a chance to talk to some folks. I don't know a lot about Linux, but I was bound and determined I'd learn enough to make this thing work. And it's a fun little project, and I've had the Raspberry Pi for a long time, and it was finally time that I do something useful with it. Back to you, Rick.
Well, Bud, do you have that hooked up to the Raspberry Pi? Does it do the broadcasting of call sign and that, or are you receiving my call sign when I key my mic? Back to you.
Oh, Roger, Rick. Roger, I see everything here on the screen. I'm running 2 pieces of software. I'm running a program called IRCDB Gateway, which gets us onto the internet and into the D-Star network. And then I'm running another piece of software. They're both written by Jonathan Naylor, called Dummy Repeater. And it acts as if I'm a repeater. I've got my call sign in there as if I'm a repeater. And then there's a sound card dongle that is plugged into the Raspberry Pi that I have a microphone and headphones plugged into so that I can talk to you and I can hear what you say. So this is the equivalent of one of those DB dongles at much less, it doesn't cost nearly so much. And it seems to be working. I've had a chance to listen around, and I'm just glad that I got it working. So back to you, Rick.
And when I asked if you were broadcasting your call sign, all of a sudden it did come across on my screen. So I was glad to see that I've got at least this thing programmed right on my end over here. But now that you're running that with the Raspberry Pi, you have to be running that through your computer, and you can run it mobile. Is that correct, Bud? Back to you.
Roger, Rick, the idea here is, and I've been testing these things out, is there really isn't a transmitter here. In fact, I've got a ICOM 880 H that's our D-Star repeater here in the Pacific Northwest is currently off the air. So I'm actually connected to, well, actually what I'm doing is I'm running a laptop computer that's running Windows 7, and I am remotely running the Raspberry Pi, which is running Linux, from the laptop computer. All the audio stuff is connected directly to the Raspberry Pi. I have a Verizon Jetpack. It's a little Wi-Fi device that goes on a cellular network that I have already tested. It allows me to link the Raspberry Pi to the internet through that Verizon Jetpack. And so you don't need a keyboard and you don't need a monitor to run the Raspberry Pi if you have some sort of remote access to it. I've tested it with the laptop, and I also have tested it with Microsoft Surface. And so it will be a portable rig that I can take with me. I'm getting ready to travel, so I'll have an opportunity to try this out from Maui here next week. Back to you, Rick.
Well, that's great. Now, when you sign on, I've got a Verizon MiFi, which I believe is the same as that Jetpack. But are you signing on and then going directly to the repeater that's just closest to you, or are you actually getting into the repeater here close to where I'm at in Atlanta, Georgia? Back to you, Bud.
Okay. Yes, Rick. The repeater that I'm using is not a real repeater. It's software running on the Raspberry Pi, and it behaves as if it's a repeater. And I'm the only one that can hear it, or I'm the only one that can talk onto it. So it's a piece of software called Dummy Repeater. It behaves just the same as a repeater behaves. I have connected to reflector 30 Charlie. Your repeater in Atlanta is also connected to reflector 30 Charlie. So that allows me to come out on your repeater over there. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.